Into live streams.
Sorry, I'm a little bit quiet.
I'll just tell you when, yes, we're live now. It's showing the red circle. Fantastic. Hi, family. Hi, Precious Pearl family. It's another amazing episode of Inspirational Moments. And I have an amazing person with us today. And it's really my privilege to have her on here with us today. Just 1 minute. I just want to make sure that we're connected properly. Yeah, we are.
These are the likes.
We'll be sharing this on different platforms and make sure that we have.
I'm doing a live today about domestic abuse, and it's being shared on different platforms. So this is one way of me making sure that it comes here. Good afternoon, world. Good morning, good evening, and good nighty for the
Fantastic. Just 1 more minute, guys. Thank you for always been so patient with us on our lives.
We have to be patient, oh. We just have to be patient. Music on.
Okay, I think we are.
Hello,
We're
Charity.
good to go.
Desicot, it's your first time. Desicot, thank you so much. Tolu, what is our delay? My friends on here think I'm going crazy because I'm not saying anything.
Oh,
Hello, Charity.
can they see? Are they seeing the link yet? Can they?
I don't know how to do that on here. This is TikTok. I just did it. I'm just
What
doing.
you want to share it on TikTok?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. If I have your, I mean, you can copy the link and go straight to your TikTok to share. I'm not really. Are you? So if you go to my page, you'll be able to see the share. You know the share arrow at the bottom, and then you can share that on all the platforms that you wanted to.
Sharing on all the platforms that we wanted to. So let us see. We are talking about, thanks for the follow. We're talking about, I don't know whether TikTok would allow this. Let's see.
Okay, we're live streaming now. Anyway, so hi everyone, and thanks for joining. And I'm just gonna read a very short introduction that I have of our amazing guest today, and she has an amazing story to share. Oh, someone is saying there's nothing, and the people on the community saying they can't see the link yet.
Tech matters here.
Let me double check, because we don't want to have all these amazing stories shared and
Okay.
then we find out that it's nowhere. We didn't post it.
Okay.
I know that it's live streaming on my personal page,
Yeah.
and I think it's on Inspirational Moments, and I just shared it on Precious Pearl as well.
Okay. Divine favor. Hello. So I'm being interviewed. I'm just trying to put it on here so that you guys can see it. You're going to be hearing my version or my responses to the questions I'm being answered. But I've dropped a link there for anyone who would like to join the Zoom link to hear the story.
You know what I can do is
Yeah.
as well, the link and drop it in the. Thank you everyone for being very patient with us. We just want to make sure that everyone that wants to be a part of this live gets to be a part of this live today. We don't want anyone to miss this amazing story. So I just dropped the link on the Zoom chat, sis.
Okay.
So you can copy that and share if you're having issues. Can you see the one that says fb.watch?
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Can
Okay.
you see it? Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so while she's sorting all that out, hi, precious family. Um, Who do we have with us today? Her name is Dr. Arinola Araba. She has an amazing story that she wants to share. She was recently awarded the Freeman City of London. So you know that you don't just get one of those all willy-nilly. It's given to special people that have contributed to, the community in amazing ways. And it's a well-deserved honor, sis. Congratulations for that. She's a mom, social entrepreneur. She's a board game inventor. I remember seeing our board games on
Okay.
our page. Yeah. And I was like, this is new. This is not something, people write books, ebooks, people have brands and different things. But I don't think I've seen anyone, apart from her, that I know personally, create an actual board game. And if I'm correct, it's about teaching young people or even families about finance, right?
Yes, finance
Yes.
in a
Yes,
fun
a
way.
creative tool. Yes, and that's something we need in today's world because they don't really teach finance in schools, do they? So it's something that people have to pick up along the life's journey, and it's one of the most important things for you to know how to handle finance. And she's also a published author and a chaplain. So she wears so many hats and she wears them beautifully. Welcome on Inspirational Moments, sis, and we're excited to have you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you
Have
for
you
reaching
managed to
out to me.
sort out the
Mhm.
um links yet? Have you managed to share it with all the people you want to share
I
with?
I'm not sure what I'm allowed to, but I've shared some links. I'm not
Okay.
sure what I'm allowed to. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I
So
mean, the
thank you
last
for
one,
listening. Hmm.
the last one I shared is the link for this live.
Amazing.
So you should be able to share that on your platforms and on
I should be able
different
to
places.
put it on my own Facebook. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, let's try that. Okay. I've, I've got.
Okay, so how to start, where to start from, so many amazing things. I was just sharing with sis that I was just scrolling through Facebook one day and I saw an interview that she had with another host on another show, and I was like, oh my goodness. I have to, we have to hear this story in the community. Like, this is just something that will help so many people, and there's so many things to be picked from this story. And we just recently shared the story of another amazing lady who came out of abuse. And then when I saw this and I reached out to her, she was like, God, she was just saying to me today, I'm right, am I right? Says that she felt God was saying, yeah, she had to go and share a story. So it just seemed like a God moment to have everything come together that way. And so today she's going to be sharing a story and also talking about how to spot the red flags before it's too late, right? We don't want another story of someone kicking the bucket because of abuse, and we want the people in the community to be able to live empowered full lives. We only have one life to live, and God wants us to live it to the best and not to leave it by dimming our light or by extinguishing our light. God wants us to shine, and He wants that so much for us. And sometimes we put so much limitations on ourselves. We put, religious limitations. So we listen to what this person will say, what people say, and all sorts of things that don't matter in the grand scheme of life, because everybody has to live their life's journey. And we will give account to how we live this life's journey. And we have to take ownership of our own lives and start making decisions that not only affect us positively, but our future generations. So thank you, sis, for coming on here. We'd like you to start off by sharing your story with us. What's the journey been like from any comfortable place where you want to start to share? How's the journey for you? And yeah.
Is it just my life generally, or is it the beginning of the abuse? So which bit did you want me to
Tell
focus?
us a bit about yourself first, what you do, and on who you are and the things that you've done. Let's hear about that first. And then from there, we can progress into how the abuse started, the journey into that phase.
Okay, what I do. Good afternoon, everybody in the whole wide world, wherever you are. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm sorry for the delay. We've had some tech tech issues, as you know, the way the world is. My name is Arinola Araba, as she has said. I'm a mom of three, 25, 27, and 29, my children. And by background, I'm a medical doctor. And then after that, I became a project manager. And then I did all sorts of different things that launched me into all sorts of skills, including data analysis. And then I did a master's in London City University called Medical Informatics. That was my idea of trying to merge medicine and information technology. We know it's already here now because you can get people's blood pressures remotely. You can do all kinds of treatments or investigations online. Okay. After that, I went into a phase of soul searching. What do I do with my life next? Because there was a part of me that was calling out the word community. Well, after my master's degree, I got several roles in the NHS. I was a interim associate director in some hospital trusts, clinical governance manager in some trusts, and I had developed a lot of skills around leadership, managing people, and things came to a halt. Now, just before this, she doesn't want to talk about the abuse now, but just before this, I had gone through an abuse process. I'd been in the courts, seeking custody for the children, going through a divorce, and this was just before my career back in the health service in the UK. And then my contracts stopped coming. You would not believe it. I have to tell you guys, I am a Christian very openly and boldly. And there are ways that God speaks to us, whether you're Christian or not. We have conscience, we have a sense, we have a knowing of what to do, and we have feeling about things going right and wrong. So there's so many ways God speaks to us. So I remember that going into the hospital in those days, I would hear the word community in my ear. Community, community. And I got to a point where I was getting very angry. And I'd be saying out loud, why am I hearing the word community? I thought that because I was in a church and they used to use the word community, that I was in a community. And I would say back, why are you saying community? I'm already in a community. So when the job stopped coming and I knelt down one day and I was crying bitterly, I was sobbing. I said, Lord, I'm going through this uh, child support issue. Where do the children live? It's called residence order, and it's draining me. I don't want to depend on anybody. I don't want to be asking anybody to pay for the children if they don't want to pay. And I said, how am I going to survive? My savings are going. I'm using my savings. I don't know what else to do. And very clearly in my ear, I heard the words, I will not ask you again. This is your last chance. So after that, I said, Lord, I surrender to whatever you want. Because in our culture, Africa, you cannot become a doctor and then say you're going to do something else. It's just unheard of. It's like, what? Like my friends tell me there's a prestige that comes with being a doctor. I said, yes, I know, but I never lost the title. And to be honest, what I do in the community is almost like doctoring or helping people to heal. But that was very difficult for family to grasp. Anyhow, so I ran into a community project. I started listening to people talk about community. I went to start a small business called Be Money Wise because as I walked into the place where I wanted to operate from, they gave me a form and said, if you want to use this as a business premises, you need to provide a project to help the community. And I looked up again. I said, God, you are this community. Community is following me everywhere. I read medicine. What is community? So that's how I got into doing this community projects. So I started joining those who were doing them just to understand what this community thing was about. And we started running some workshops in the library with children, talking about money. And I would talk with parents. We used to have this parent morning on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I miss it so much because we're trying to reenact that. 11 to 1, we will sit down with the parents, we'll play games, we'll talk about life. Anyhow, that season came to an end because as you will understand, if you're running a social enterprise, sometimes you have to ask for funding and you have to generate income. If you can't do that, then you probably stop what you're doing for a while. So I was thinking, I want to go back into the NHS, but God would not open those doors. I tried. I would get an interview. Oh, you're so good, but anyway. So one day I was thinking about my daughter. She was bringing her friends to our house. I would have about 10 to 12 people in the house, and they were eating jollof rice. And the thought came to me that why don't I teach them about money skills? So I had the discussion with my daughter. I was teaching them about assets and liabilities. Assets are things that bring money towards you, and liabilities are things that take money away from you. So I said, is this an asset or a liability? This jollof rice we're cooking for 12 children, we agreed is a liability. I said, okay, I think it's time we have a conversation about money, proper conversation in this house. Bring your friends along. So in that conversation, we created this game called Be Money Wise. I don't know if you guys can see this. It's called Be Money Wise. Anyway, Be Money Wise was an attempt to start conversations with parents and children talking about that monster word, money, money, and also making it a fun endeavor. I think what I have to do is probably take off this thing. So you're asking me about my business and how I started. That's how I started, trying to solve a problem. And since then, every time I try to create something, it's always about me looking for a way to find a solution to a problem. And the other board game I created also was around what the government was looking for solutions for financial math skills for people above 19. So I created this game called Numbers on the Loose
Yeah, we can see that
for
clearly.
Rishi Sunak. So every time I hear anything in the news or there's some policy, I am always stirred up to go and create a solution. It's the same reason why I created this one, money questions and answers for kids. There are 5 of them. There's a series of 5 books, and that was because the Education Committee in the House of Parliament, they had a meeting and parents were looking for ideas to teach children about money. So I thought if I just give them questions and answers, it might make it easier for them to teach their kids about money rather than trying to find a way to do it. Right. So this is the game Numbers on the Loose. But that is a little bit about me. And then after that, I got an email from the City of London saying they were nominating me for an award. And I said, what did I do? Is this a scam? What kind of award is that? They said, you've been outstanding in trying to educate the next generation with financial skills. So I went
That's
to the City of London. I
amazing.
got what is called the keys. I didn't bring it to this interview, it's downstairs. And then sometimes I wear a badge when it's needed. Is that enough about what I've done so far? And I've written.
That's amazing. That's a very good start. And can you share the first board? Because the background is quite light now. At first, was that the first one you
That's
shared?
the
Okay,
first board game. Yeah, this one.
fantastic. And these games and these board games are so fantastic because I play Monopoly with my kids. And I remember when I was young,
Yeah.
I read what's his name now, Rich Dad Poor Dad, and I know that
Yes.
board game, and
Yes.
that's one the inspiration for my entrepreneurial journey, apart from my mom, who's always been an entrepreneur. You know, she's a retired nurse, but she always was an entrepreneur, so she inspired me on the journey as well. So this is quite inspirational as well. I'm trying to say these board games and these books, your daughter's friends and the community later will speak about that to say that this and that inspired my journey in this direction. And so I a big congratulations for all of this and for availing yourself of the opportunity and us the opportunity to be able to get all these products they're putting in the market. And I know it's the beginning. The world will still hear of it on a much larger scale in the name of Jesus. More people are going to hear about this product and it's going to go to places where you cannot get to get there. And it will speak on your behalf to generate for generations to come in
Mhm.
Jesus' name. And so the second part that we're going to hear now is the abuse, how it started, the journey into that. What are the red flags that people to look at, or what would you have done better? And also, can I ask before we go into that,
Mm.
that what part of the journey of the abuse, I know you shared it already, sort of, but what part of that journey made you a social entrepreneur and made you create this product? What part, are there any direct parts of that?
Made me create this product. There's a way that God speaks to us. And I had this thought in my head, share your story. And I said, no, I'm
Mm,
not doing it. So this was a constant argument going on. It went on for days, though, probably about 2 years. Then I wrote a blog. I called it My Story. And I put a link on Facebook. The amount of feedback I got, I was shocked. You're
mm,
speaking the story. This really hit a tone with me. This touched me. This helped me. And then after that, I kept having this yearning to actually put out a book. So I wrote a book. It's called Beautifully Flawed. I was writing this in obedience to my maker because I got to understand that the things that we go through are not necessarily just for us.
mm,
We're talking about the next generation. They are experiences that can inspire, help, encourage, or save somebody else from a mess. So after doing this, I was explaining to you how I had a dream. I have dreams very frequently, 2, 3 days a week. And these are ways I get direction because during the day, I'm so busy. And I'm thanking God for his mercy in allowing me to be able to dream. If
mm,
I wasn't able to dream, I don't know how I would get things done. So I was having a conversation in my dream about the work I've been doing. And what I heard was, what about the one thing that I asked you to do? And that
mm,
shocked me. I said, ah, God, you mean that domestic abuse thing again? The deal is, when I first wrote this book, he said, write a course. This was 2019. This is just before the lockdown. I said, Lord, please, I don't even know where I'm going to learn how to do a course now. I feel that you want this done urgently. So I will do it. But to go and find out how to do a course, I said, can I do a deal with you, sir? Can we make the book in such a way that there are places where people can write answers? So you'll find that there are reflection pages. Can you see reflection pages? But I forgot that you don't do a deal with God and walk away. You have to do what you said.
mm,
So he reminded me that I had agreed with what he said. So this is what happened a few weeks ago. After that, I could not get any more peace. I started thinking, all right, I've got to create a course. I went to Canva. You guys might know what Canva is. It's an app that helps you design books. It gives you templates. Templates meaning it gives you a frame and you just put text in it. And I was on a call on TikTok one day and somebody said, why don't you just write a book, Spotting Red Flags? I said, okay. So that's how I created the ebook called Spotting Red Flags 20 Ways. Now, you talk about my life. In Spotting Red Flags, let me tell you what I ignored. I was introduced to somebody in church, but later on, I got to see the side of them that scared me. That should have been a warning sign, but I didn't, I dismissed it. And then I saw an explosion of anger. That should have been a warning sign. And I thought, oh, I'm sure I can cope with this. It's okay. We can sort it out. We love each other. But it takes more than love to sort out those kind of things, you know. Um, so thank you for posting that. So the issue here is
yeah, sorry. I
everybody.
had one of our members post. So those are links to the books that she's just talked about and the board games and all of that. So we have that in the comment section. So if you're interested, just go to the comment section. You will find links of the books and the board games and everything there. Go on, sis.
So, ma'am, the thing is, we all have a voice inside us. It might manifest in different ways. We all have ideas, we all have thoughts, but we can choose what to do with those things. We can choose to ignore them, or we can just choose to just do what we're told to do. So in my own case, I ignored and passed. I just passed on the things. I thought, oh, we'll be fine. Everything will be okay. Until I started noticing some things that I did not pick up before the relationship. Uh, I I had to give up work to have the baby, but there were other things around money that was becoming a problem.
mm,
Without saying too much, the money was not as much as it was. Of course, there are two of us now, and I noticed the anger coming out.
mm,
There was anger. I didn't like stressing about money. I never liked the idea of it, but now we had to prepare for the baby, or we had to manage money better. And it got to a point there was just one income, my income. So things were really tough. And I saw another side of this person. I'm not saying I'm innocent, but there were signs that made me realize that maybe it's time to reassess this relationship. But there are times I couldn't even get a discussion. If I wanted to discuss, it would not happen. There would be a reason why it can't happen. And things got so bad that there were times when I didn't have food to eat and I was pregnant. That's how bad it was, because the one income was not going to last us for long. Anyway, eventually, my ex husband went out to work. But the dynamics in the relationship changed when the baby came. And I remember comments about you spend time with the kids, and I would say, with the baby, and I would say, I need your help to help with the baby. You need to help me so that we can do this together. But you see, when you are getting into a relationship and you don't understand the background somebody's coming from, it poses a lot of problems later. If you have a man who is not inclined to help you with baby things or help you with doing things in the house or cooking, where do you go from there when you need all that help? So there was a lot of tension going on with things that were happening in the house. So I was getting to a point of frustration myself because I didn't know how else to communicate or what to do. And it was difficult to call other people into it because I was forbidden to invite people. I couldn't have
mm,
anyone help me. Well, things gradually got worse in the marriage um, because of the income issues. And then the name calling would start. Name
mm,
calling. And then it got to a point, I say openly that my own abuse was not as bad as a lot of other people's. But the memory of me being kicked on the floor, like you will kick a ball, that the memory of being kicked so hard on the floor with boots is one that I probably will live with for a long time. And it was over money. My father had given me some money and I was asking, he wrote a check, where is this money? And I was trying to get his attention. He was ignoring me. I was tapping him. And then suddenly the man was so angry, he got up and threw me against the wardrobe. The wardrobe was made of glass.
mm,
I was a size 24. I still don't know till today how it happened that I didn't crack the mirror on that wardrobe because I was so big. After that, I fell to the ground with a thud. I was screaming. I almost I was quite surprised that I didn't rupture my spleen. The spleen is one of the organs in the body that cannot take too much pressure. I
mm,
thought I had ruptured with the pain I had because I was screaming. And then I was being kicked as well. So
mm,
not only was I being thrown against a hard object, I was being kicked, and the face was so angry that when I was shouting, he said he had to go to college and he was leaving. I remember saying to him, the baby is watching. I had a baby who was just about 18 months. I said, do you have to do this beating in front of this child? This child would not go away. He told her to go, but she wouldn't leave. And she carried on repeating that later. I did
mm,
say to him, you don't, when he said, should I call the ambulance? I said, no, you can wait until I'm, whatever, until
mm,
it's so bad. I was being sarcastic. He just walked out on me and said he was going to college. So that's the story. Oh, I mean, it was after that I realized that I had to get out of the relationship. It was too much. I didn't need to give up everything I had.
Mm.
I had to make a decision to leave. And that one I can talk about. You want me to break that down or you want to talk some more?
Yes, absolutely. Because being able to leave those kind of environments is one of the things that a lot of women struggle with.
Yeah.
Being able to get out. And they say sometimes that that's even the most dangerous part sometimes because this Osinachi lady story that we know we in Nigeria
Yeah.
that left. And after she left, the church community got on that case and told her, you know how it is with all the religiosity. And then she came back, and that was worse. And that's when abuse killed her. So, and some people don't even, they're not even able to make it out anyway. I was watching a story just recently about someone who stayed in the abuse for about 30 something years till the husband died. And that's when she came out to share a story. So some people are never actually able to leave. So yeah, you are able to leave, survive leaving, and then go on to do great things, and you're still doing amazing things. So that's something we like to hear about.
Want to talk about the amazing things or the things that stop us from living? I want to talk about the things that stop us from living.
Sure.
Because in living, I broke a lot of rules.
Hmm.
I did things that most people would think, how could you?
Hmm.
The kind of support I was getting when the abuse was like slapping, trying to strangle me, was
Hmm.
like, surrender, uh, um, what's the word?
Submit.
Submit, forgive him. And I couldn't cry out to anyone because I'd become isolated.
Hmm.
Even though I had parents, I didn't have a phone, and I was told I shouldn't have the house number, so I couldn't call anybody. The people in the church who noticed, they probably couldn't do anything because if they commented, I think I would cut down the conversation for those who cared, who wanted to say something. I thought about the church. I thought about what will people say. I thought about my parents. I thought about friends. I thought about the fact that I don't like the word divorce. I don't ever want to be. There's so many things going through my mind. But what I should have realized is God did not want me to suffer in a marriage. He wants us to submit to one another, respect one another. But when it becomes violent, then we have to sit down and ask ourselves, why does it have to get violent? But it got to a point where I couldn't even have that kind of conversation because I wasn't given the room to. If I say I want to talk, oh, I'm busy. Oh, I'm going to sleep now. Oh, I have to do this. Okay, I'll talk to you when I get back. It was almost like a control thing.
Hmm.
And when you get back, let's talk. No, no, doesn't want to talk about it. He's tired. So I was constantly at the receiving end of somebody's refusal or reluctance to discuss any issues in the marriage. I think they had made up their minds what they wanted to do, and it didn't matter what I wanted or what the kids were going to feel. So, all of the factors around the church, what will people say? What does the Bible say? I went back to the Bible. I picked up a book. Actually, I think I still have the book. I saw it. I picked up a book in church by accident. I don't call it accident. I called it a God, God intervention. Marriage
Okay.
and remarriage. And
Hmm.
this guy was Kenneth Hagin. He was talking about how people misunderstand some parts of scripture when it
Hmm.
comes to this abuse thing. And it says in First Corinthians, I think it's 7:15, it says if you're in a relationship and the unbeliever has left or wants to leave, you should let them go. God has called us to peace. It talks about in the Gospels where it says that the reason why you can divorce or move away is adultery and all that. But he was talking about the fact that certain parts of the Bible were relating to a time, different time, especially the Gospels. You know, you have the Matthew for the Jews to show that Jesus came from the line of Abraham and all that. And then the epistles, Corinthians was about the believer, the new believers. And I thought, wow. And then he explained that if somebody has left the marriage, if somebody is beating you, calling you names, insulting, trying to harm you, they have already left that marriage. It's not when they physically leave that they've left. In that case, you don't have to beg or force or hold them down. I began to understand that there's power when you don't have to beg somebody to love you. You don't have to beg somebody to stay. You don't have to beg somebody to be with you if they don't want to be. Because I remember the cards and the notes I sent. I said, let's make this work. That was sent to me after I left when I said I wanted a separation. Even then, I wasn't taken seriously. I had to call the police in to get me out because there was a lot of obstruction to me leaving. The mother was called in. Then I called my mother, and then I called my brother, all because I wanted to leave, and there was a problem with me leaving. You are beating me. And then he told me, get out. You are useless to me. I went, fine, you've said it now, so let me go, you know. But a lot of us are trapped by, I don't want to be divorced. I don't want to be divorced too. So I remember a conversation with my ex where I was on the train and he was shouting to me, you must come back. You must come back and submit. You must come back and submit. And then I said to him, have you read the book of Malachi properly? Malachi chapter 2. He says, he was telling me God hates divorce. I said, yes. But the Bible also says that do not be treacherous with the wife of thy youth because the Lord hates divorce. So I was telling him in that phone call and I was shouting. I'm sure the whole train heard it. You are being treacherous to me. Those things are written together in the word. So how come you're only picking the cherry bit? I
Mm.
hate divorce. But he hates violence. So why would you be violent to me? Even in Second Peter, other parts of the Bible says if you're not in agreement with your wife, you're not looking after her, you're being nasty to her, your prayers will not even be heard. And
Yes,
you,
sir.
as a man, should love your wife as yourself.
Mhm.
So if you don't love your wife, you don't love yourself. But you see, when you talk about red spots, what I realized when I think back was some of the first few things that he discussed with me when we were dating was around money. So I think that money was an issue.
Mm.
I need money in this marriage. I'm Father, please protect this man. I have nothing against him. I'm always, whenever I talk, I say, Lord, please protect him because God wants me to talk. I
Mm.
think money was an issue. And I believe that when I got pregnant, like 15 months or 16 months later, and I stopped bringing in the money, the abuse could not be controlled. The
Mm.
reason I say this is that there were several incidents in the marriage later where when I had money or was given money, I had to pass it to him or there'll be trouble. If I went to work, I had to pass it to him or there'll be trouble. I wanted to do the master's degree I spoke about, and I went to get what is called a career development loan in those days. As soon as I got it, he asked me to give it to him. I said, but I just got this loan to pay for my fees, which is 5,000. He said, I'll
Mm.
give it to you in 2 weeks. While I was shaking and talking to this man, I said, why don't you wait for 2 weeks so that you can get that money yourself? And there was anger. The mother was
Mm.
called, and the mother spoke to me and said I should give him the money. I said, how can I explain to the bank that I took
Mm.
out money? So these are signs that we should look out for, basically. I took out money,
Mm.
and I, as a doctor and as a sensible, intelligent woman, is saying that I gave it away. So the bank should let me go. What I remember saying, what do you think I'm going to tell them when they want me to pay back? I refused to give that money. And what happened in the end was I had to open a different account to start doing my money issues because the account was being emptied a lot and I couldn't talk.
Mm.
There was no way to get a conversation. I remember the pastor saying, this man doesn't listen. We can't even talk to him. So when you have somebody who is like a law unto themselves,
Mm.
and they were boasting that they didn't have friends, they don't need friends, nobody can talk, nobody
Mm.
can reason with them, those are warning signs. I'm going to share some of these other warning signs here, just a few. A lot of them have to do with this rebellious nature of nobody can tell me. I don't
Mm.
to listen, and those were some of the mistakes I made. I wasn't rushing to marry, to be honest, because my younger sisters had married, and my daddy was asking me what's going on. I said, Daddy, I'm not interested. So it's not as if I was rushing. I don't know what I saw, but I thought I found somebody charming. So if you have somebody who is charming, they want to marry you quickly, they constantly ask you questions about your life, especially areas of money. They try to make you feel that what you've achieved is nothing compared to theirs. That one is insecurity. They
Mm,
start calling you names. They want to cut you off. You say, baby, let's make this secret. Nobody needs to know this is happening. You don't have to call your parents in. I've been dealing with young people where a boy will tell them, let's go and get married. And they will go
mm.
and get married just like that. And they will not
Wow.
tell the parents. So these are signs. When somebody wants to rush you off to marry you, they they keep telling you, let's keep
When
this.
they love bomb you.
They,
I heard that you.
the one I hate the most is you don't have to tell your parents yet, let's just between you and me. What are you hiding?
Mm,
It's something to be celebrated, isn't it? So these are
mhm,
some of those signs. What was the other question? So I've discussed my mistakes was not doing enough research, not listening to the signs, dismissing them, the anger, um, and what else? What was the other thing? I talked about money, but that may not just be a sign. That may just be a question mark. Like, what is this obsession with the money issue? We have to have money, 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 money. I believed in sharing money, so I didn't have a problem with it. But that was one of my downfall in the end, because the other person
mm,
would just go out and draw money, and you just couldn't say anything. If you talked, you could get a slap. You know, I remember
mm,
an occasion when they wanted to buy a ticket to go abroad for a conference, and I had to go and pay the bills, and I almost got beaten for that. And I said, but you have to pay the bills before you go abroad. And then
mm,
saying that they were embarrassed. I embarrassed them because when they put their card, I had taken out £50, maybe out of 700 or whatever. So these
mm,
are signs that we should be aware of. And for those who keep saying, I'm a Christian, I am not asking you to go and do a divorce. If somebody is harming you, I don't believe that is God's will for you to stay in the harming. I'm not saying you should leave them. I'm saying you have to keep yourself safe. That's my message. Because when I think about the people who have actually gone, there are words you can't use on social media. I told you, you
mm.
have to be so careful. Okay. I ask myself, when I die, Aisha, ay, 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 if somebody in a relationship does something to you and it ends, what happens when you get to eternity? Because you see, this world is not it all. We're only on this world or in this world for a time. We're not here forever and ever and a day. There's still another bit called eternity when we go. We're going to meet our maker. What are you going to tell him?
Mm,
Called you to do this. Oh, but Lord, you know that I was in this relationship. And I want to remind people who are in the church who are so scared to talk or say, you have to remember that first of all, you got born again and you gave your life to Christ.
mm,
You became a child of God, and his purpose in you was supposed to be worked out. This was before marriage or relationship. Let's remember that. That is number one. Because your identity is not about the relationship. Or when you stand before God, it's not about, oh, I'm married, I'm this. First of all, you and God have a relationship. There's something He's called you to do. I'm on here today because God has reminded me that I promised to talk about this and do a course, which is why I'm writing all those ebooks, because I'm going to turn them into a course that people can watch on webinar basis and watch continuously. We have to remember that the person we need to fear and respect is God above the other person in the relationship. And if the person in the relationship is not God fearing, we have a big problem. Because when people get in a relationship and you're with a man, let's say a woman is with a man, and there's no respect for your feelings, no respect for don't lay your hands on your wife, respect your wife. Women should respect their husbands. Yes, the Bible says you should respect your wife as well. But that passage is not, it's not widely shared. The
yeah.
one that is shared is you must surrender, you must submit, you must in the same Ephesians chapter 5, is it 5? I think it's from 18 or 19. It says, submit ye to one another. Before it went on to talk about wives submit to your husbands in everything. You will submit to somebody who is submitted to you or submitted to God and cares. And the Bible says the man should lay down his life for his wife.
Mm,
let me say something about marriage that I understand. Marriage is a representation of the relationship that Jesus has with the church.
Mm,
Jesus died and laid down his life. He gave his life willingly because he told them before they took him away, he said, I lay down my life and I will take it up again. This is the relationship a man, a husband, has to have for his wife, where the wife knows that whatever he does is for the good of them too. It's not about harming the woman. Jesus did not force us to obey him. He gave us a choice.
mm,
He said, I've given my life. And as he said, I am the way, the truth, and the life, come to me. He did not say it's by force, because if it was by force, when Adam and Eve were in the garden, he could have shouted from the top and said, don't you touch that. I'm going to stop your hand from working. Or I'm going to stop you from speaking, Eve. I'm going to stop you from talking so that your husband will hear. He didn't do that. He gave us a choice. He gave us a will. It's a gift to have a will. So when you're
mm,
in marriage with a man who is representing Jesus, a woman will not have any problem submitting, because
mm,
she knows the decisions that he's making is for the good of the two of them. Like Jesus will say, Ari, I asked you to do this, and I know it's for my good. I'll say, Lord, I surrender. So that is my own issue or my talk about the submission bit. Submission is a two-way thing. A woman is a helper. She's not dominating. And the other thing that comes to mind is when he made them, the Bible says he made them male and female. And then he gave them this commission: go and have dominion over everything, not over the woman.
mm,
Dominion over everything. Go and multiply and replenish the earth.
mm,
Multiply and replenish. Go and be creative. Go and expand. Go and beautify the earth. Go and protect it. Go and nurture it. Not go and be beating the woman that is giving you as a helper. Okay,
mm.
Madam. I've been talking. Ask me questions.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing those aspects. You did mention that one of the red flags you saw before in the early part was money. So, was it, in what way was that a red flag? How was he talking about money that made it a red flag?
Yeah, I'm trying to protect him. I'm going to, God, please help
I
me.
mean, in a way that people listen, because people, money is such an important part
Yeah.
of a marriage. It is one of the main things that people fight about in the marriage is money a lot of times. So how can you spot when you're dating someone if they're talking about money? Which way will they, in your opinion, will they be talking about money?
Can I share this at some point? Do I have access to share this? Oh, I can't. I have to.
Yeah, you should be. You can. There's a share arrow at the bottom of the on Facebook where you can copy the link and share anywhere.
No, I wanted to share the book. Okay, never mind. Now,
Oh,
the,
the
the,
book,
the thing that I wanted to share the book Spotting the Flag, some of the pages. The
right?
thing, the thing in my own relationship that I did not understand. Number one, I was very naive.
Mm,
Very naive. I was brought up in a very sheltered way, to the point that my father would tell us not to mix with boys. My sister would try and stand up to my dad and have a birthday party and bring a lot of just boys just to give my father a message. I didn't have the power or the boldness to do that. So I had no idea how to relate. It was
mm,
so bad that one of my classmates in medical school called me and said, Ari, what is the problem? She said, I called your house and I told your father to go and marry you. I don't know what he said. He wanted to see me or something. My father was so protective. So you can imagine the world I came from. And as a child, he was drumming into us, don't you talk about boys or men until you're 25. And that stuck with me. So I thought, okay, let's forget that boys exist. So I
mm,
didn't have the ability to mix, have relationships break. Though I didn't want that. I don't know. There was a time in my young years, I was watching something, or we had one of those magazines that came from England about teen life. I can't remember the name. And this girl
mm,
was crying about how the boyfriend stopped caring about her because he had seen her. She'd given everything. She'd opened her legs and all that. And I
mm,
thought I made it was like an inner vow. I made an inner vow and said, Lord, I don't want to be married until I'm 25 or 26, so I know what I'm doing. So I wasn't surprised that it wasn't until around 26, 27 that I got married. But there were issues around credit cards and money which I did not understand. I just remember reading some books in the library about when you see people saying they're doing sales and they say it's ending. The book said, let it. That was a shock to my brain. And never ever buy what you cannot afford. Always
Mm,
save for whatever you need. These were values that I learned, and I believe that they were instilled into me. Now I'm running into this man. We're meeting, we're in church together, and then he's telling me that, oh, there's something wrong with his credit history. I had no idea what that was.
mm,
That was a red flag.
mm,
Because as soon as we got together, he was asking me if I have credit cards. Why are you asking me about credit cards? I didn't have credit cards and I didn't need them. If I wanted something, I saved and I bought. And before I bought, I had to ask myself about 5 times, do you really, really, really need this?
yeah, mm,
So the red flag was the constant questions about my finances,
mm,
whether I had this card. Because if you have the card, you're going to go spending. Eventually, in the marriage, I got the card because there was so much pressure. And when I had it, I wouldn't spend. But the money is there and I need it. And you're not giving it to me.
mm,
But I said, but it's not my or your money.
mm.
So so the questions he was asking me before I went in was something I should have paid attention to, but I
Thank
didn't
you.
think
Mm,
about it. We went for counseling, but I don't think the counseling was enough. When I
mm,
look at it now, there was yeah. So in my current church now, you have to wait. You have to counsel, I think, about 9 months or so. My own was in 9 months. It was maybe 3 months or so. Okay. So that was the red flag that I ignored. Yeah.
mm. In fact, I will say, and to young people that are in the process of getting married, put yourself and the person in scenarios where maybe with your siblings or your friends where you ask questions, they ask them questions. You have so you can because sometimes you may be so jaded so that they're listening and you're listening to some of this. Because I remember it was Michelle Obama that said that when
Uh-huh.
he brought Barack home, that our brothers would take him to the basketball court just to see a lot about who he was and how he was. And there were so many scenarios they put him in the middle of just to hear a lot of his mindset and who he was before they're like, okay, this is a good guy. And there's a story I watched on Facebook recently. I don't know if it's a
Yeah.
real or fake story. This girl, she canceled her wedding 3 weeks to the mic because she was with the guy and the friends were somewhere and they'd been around each other for a few days and they were asking questions, I think, and they were talking about finances. And
Yeah.
he said about the friend asked about this week where he may soul rest in peace that died in Nigeria. And the question was that the partner was saying to her was, why on earth will he will his property to his wife and kids? That's just a horrible thing to do. Why will he do that? So she was like, what do you mean? Who should you will? Doesn't he have brothers? Doesn't he have family? I was like, well, we're getting married. So as we're about to get married, what are you trying to say that? He said, where and then it was saying that you give me your money, I'll look after it and look after you. And if anything happens to me, my family will look after you and look after the kids. I was just like, are you for real? And that's when she knew. And she said she was thinking to herself that how is it that we've been dating for 3 years and I'm just hearing this 3 weeks to the wedding?
Uh,
But she had the boldness to cancel. So, like you said, there's always red flags, I believe, but people tend to ignore those
yes.
red flags.
You know,
And they,
yeah,
yeah, you're saying?
this overprotection, it's just you and me, it's just you and me, we don't have to tell anybody.
Mm.
Why would you not tell anybody? What's there to hide? What's new?
Mm. And you did say something about the fact that he wouldn't allow you to share the phone number for the house. So was this sort of a
Oh,
situation where you were broken? You sort of shielded you from friends and family and sort of, because I've heard of those type of scenarios where they cut you off from people that can help you. So,
yes. So what
mm,
was happening was we had to order a phone, obviously, when we got our own place. But he wouldn't want me to see the contract. So I don't know the number. And he would tell me, this number
wow.
is not for your family. And because Oti Komilayaje, They say in Yoruba.
Wow.
I was always shaking. I could
In
not
English,
talk to
that means,
anybody.
yeah, made you scared for people that don't understand.
I was so scared I couldn't tell anybody the phone number. In fact, I think I had told somebody and I could have gotten a beating. He didn't beat me that day, but you could see the anger.
Mm,
How dare you share phone number? And the other thing about it was, whenever people say, your husband, what does he do? He will tell me, do not discuss my life with your people. I'm saying, but in our family, we say, oh, we have a doctor, we have a lawyer, we have a farmer, we have a teacher, we have an actor. I said, no, no, no. I should
mm,
have seen all of these problems, but I was so sheltered. I didn't understand that these were signs that one should run away from.
mm,
Um, on the other issue about money, let me see.
mm,
Uh, I think the quickness or the speed to do joint account. Let's do joint account. Let's do a joint account. That was a sign, you know.
mm,
Nobody's in a rush to do joint account before discussing what are the plans, what are our goals in this marriage, what are we going to achieve together, even early in the marriage. If there's this obsession, it means that they want access to the money.
mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, like someone said in the comment section, and I agree, typical narcissistic behavior. And it sounded like there was financial abuse, emotional abuses, that you went through all of this sort of abuse.
There's all of them. Father, please protect your son. There was financial abuse, there was economic abuse. Let me explain.
Economic abuse.
I
Mm,
was at home. I like to learn new things.
mm,
After the three children, I wanted to go back to school
mm.
to do the masters. Oh, you would have thought that there was World War III just because of.
Wow.
Then the mother was involved. Then another person was involved. Then all sorts of family members. I was just thinking, what is
Just to
all
go
this?
back to school. Wow.
Ah, and then he now said to me, he wanted to go back to school, but he was going to leave me in the house with the three children and he would come home at weekends.
Mm,
So we allowed him to go. He went and started doing some courses, but what was happening was I don't think he was getting the scores or the marks he wanted. And I, on the other hand, was making applications when finally somebody in the family spoke to him and said, this girl is a doctor. Let her bring in money. Can you see the reference again? Let her bring in, let her go and work, study and bring in money. Those were the words they said to me. I couldn't be bothered. I just wanted to get out. I got out and people were telling me you're intelligent, which was different to what I was hearing in the house.
you're hearing. Mm,
One of my classmates came to visit. And when we went back to school the next day, she said, what on earth is going on in your house? I said, what do you mean? Why is he always hanging around? I said, what are you
mm,
talking about? Why does he have to hear everything that is being said? I had no idea. I was used to seeing this. I didn't think anything of it.
I didn't
She
think it
said,
was a toxic behavior.
very strange, very strange. And she discussed with her husband, who was also talking to me. And I would go to school. I would hear you're intelligent, you make fantastic contributions. I will get back home as soon as you enter, you are stupid. You and this your thing. You think you are smart. Now, you know what I tell the girls I'm mentoring? I tell them just think of it as a game. It's a game to just break you down. Because you can't go outside
Exactly.
the house
To
and be
strip you
intelligent.
of who you are, strip you down.
It's a systematic
Mm,
way. And then when they think they've done enough, then they start giving you all stupid offers. Like he was telling me, I want to bring a woman in and you have to accept.
mm.
I told
Wow.
my friend, I went to visit my friend in Manchester. She said, you're a bruko one here. What kind of nonsense? That's a disrespect. For me, I say, I just said, okay. I said, but you're asking me for permission. Why do you need my permission for that? You don't
Mm,
need my permission now. But that is when I knew things were really, really bad because
mm,
my self-esteem was so low. I
mm,
couldn't talk, I couldn't complain. I was too scared to say anything. And even when I tried to run away, and I was given a house, I live in London, I was going up north. I told them what the problem was because my friend was living around there. I applied, I was given a home, handed the key, and I gave it back the next day. Fear.
mm,
Can you imagine the fear? And when I came back, guess what? The abuse got worse. But you see, you couldn't even run.
mm,
He was mocking me. You couldn't even run. He said you had the opportunity, you couldn't even go.
mm,
So every time you get away, First of all, when you get away, you're telling the world that you're making a statement, that something is not right. So when you
Yeah.
come back, you're going to be punished for embarrassing them.
Wow.
So how I got my freedom, because we have to talk about freedom, was when the phone issue was so bad. One day, I think I'd been crying out and praying. I picked up a magazine or a newspaper, and they were talking about get a phone. I don't know whether they said it was free, whatever they said. I was shaking. They said, "You want a phone?" I said, "Yes." "Do you have a credit card?" I said, "No, I have a Connect card." In those days, they called it a Connect card. So
Mm.
once I said that, they said, "Your phone will arrive tomorrow." I was like, "Sorry, you said what?" Meanwhile, I didn't really have a job at that time. So I was shocked. The phone arrived.
Mm.
And the man had been telling me because he had a phone, he said, "Oh, I will buy you a phone." The first day the phone rang, can't remember what it was, whether it was the provider. Come and see the way I was shaking like this. I hid the
Mm.
phone in the kitchen. I was almost like, I'm sorry that the phone rang. He said, "You have a phone?" I said, "Yes." Say, "Well, I was going to get you one anyway."
Mm.
But sometimes I would feel that my heart would just stop just because of a human being. Can you imagine? A human being, one
Mm.
human being. Ah,
Mm.
okay.
Someone said in the comment section that I heard it takes a woman an average of 4 to 5 times before they leave their abusers.
Very true. Yes, I think that's what statistics have said. But my own was I left once, but I wanted to go back because he kept calling me and saying, "You must come back."
Mm.
And that was getting into me. It got so the phone calls were consistent. Okay, the other thing about signs, when I was in university doing the masters, I'll come back to this story. He was always calling me. So my friend said, "You say your husband loves you." I say, "Yes." He say, "Why does he have to continue calling you? He knows you're in college. What is the problem? This is not
Mm.
normal." I didn't think it was not normal. Checking up on, when are you coming back? When are you coming back? When are you
Love
coming back?
bombing. Mm.
I thought it was love. He's just saying, how's it going? I'm just checking. Anyway, back to your question about leaving. When I decided to leave, it was because my son had received a beating. And when a friend of mine who was trying to talk to me, she said, "Ari, you used to be lively. I want my friend back. I don't know what's happened to you." I said, "No, no, no, this is me. I'm still the same." She said, "No,
Mm.
something has happened to you and you need to sort it." And then said, "Is it that? Is it a man? Is it him? And then the husband came on the phone, grabbed it and said, "What is your problem? Do you think you can't find somebody else?" And that
Wow.
got to me. And then my mother called one day and was crying. Because I got the mobile phone, I was able to call my parents. She was crying on the phone. "This is not how we brought you up. This is not how we brought you up." So that is how people started getting my phone number. But of course, if I use the home phone, he would dial and come back and tell me, "You spoke to so and so." So what I used to do whenever I dialed, I would dial 000 or whatever so that he would not be able to redial who I had called. We had those phones in those days, you just press.
Yes.
Yes, so he was checking up, and the friends were coming back and telling me, "Your husband is calling us and telling us to leave her alone, leave me alone, mind your
Wow.
business."
I hear this a lot. I spoke to someone recently who was saying the same thing that the husband will call the friends and tell them to leave. That's just controlling behavior, trying to cut you off people that can help you get your freedom, isn't it?
Yes. And
Narcissistic behavior.
when
Mm.
the beating went on to my son, I had already made up my mind that weekend. After I was doing my master's, I was doing the exam. My father had just passed. I had had enough. I'd made up my mind that that weekend, once I put the pen down, the Friday or so, Saturday, one way or the other, I was going to leave the house. So he
Mm.
just made it easy for me when he took a book like that, took a book, smashed it on Bobby's head.
Mm.
And I got up and said, I called his name. I said, "You are not unstoppable." And I picked up the phone and called the police.
Wow.
When the police said, "What's happening here?" I said, "Oh, my son." He said, "So what do you want us to do? You want us to remove him?" I was so confused.
Wow.
I said, "It's not that I want you to remove him. I just don't want the abuse." And the police said, even the lawyer said to me, said, "A piece of paper is not going to change somebody's behavior.
Mm.
The fact that the police is there right now and you don't know what you want." They turned around to me and said, "You are disturbing the queen's peace." if you don't know what you want, we might end up arrested.
Exactly. It's interesting because this is, I think, what Bumi said the last time, something of this old scenario. And I was shocked. I was thinking, I thought the police would come and just carry the kids out. I was like,
No,
that's just so strange.
they are waiting for me to tell them, but I was too scared to talk.
They can't do it until you give them the
Yes,
go
yes.
ahead.
You have to give permission. You have to say, this is what I want. I was saying, I don't know, but I just thought. So what did you call us for now? What were you expecting to
Wow.
happen? So they now started telling me, you are disturbing the Queen's peace and we should arrest you. I said,
Wow.
anyway, that happened. Of course, the man was laughing. He was laughing about
Empower that, yes.
what did he do? He took my son out and took him to the barber to cut his hair. So that when the police was saying, you call us about the son, I said, oh, he's taking the baby and all that. He came when the police was there. So the police left. And then of course he got worse towards me. He started
Mm.
aggravating and talking. And then I thought, no, today I was meant to leave. So I had to call the police again. This time I called my mom. He called his mom.
Mm.
That day there was drama in the house. He was
Mm.
slamming the wall. The mother was slamming the wall. They were shouting at each other. My mother was sitting down and watching. And then his mother went to my mother and started being abusive. And my mother would do like this. Whenever she opened her mouth, my mother would do this. When she closes her mouth, my mother would do that. And I could see the police, they were laughing. They were looking from one to the other. The woman was just spouting abuse. And then in the end, the police said to me, you want to leave? All right, get your things together. And then the man started shouting, she should get out. She's no use. She's useless. And
Wow.
then use the word sex, that's all she's good for, something like that. I don't want to say too much on, you have to be careful the words you use and stuff. And
Mm.
when he said that, I said to the policeman, I said, can you see what he's saying? And then the policeman went, yeah. And then he
Mm.
looked at me and said, so why are you here? I was
Wow.
trying to explain to him that, oh, I'm a Christian. We don't believe in divorce. That did not wash. He said, why are you here? I think about 3 times. When he noticed I couldn't get an answer out, I was just rambling. He picked up a chair.
Mm.
He sat down on that chair, put his hand on it like that,
Mm.
leaned forward and looked into my eyes.
Mm.
And then he said, I'm asking you again, why are you here?
Wow. You wanted the question to sink in.
The question bored right into my soul.
Mm.
And then I said, I was hoping he would change.
Mm.
He looked at me, he went like that into my eyes, and then he said, they never do.
Wow.
And that broke something. It's as if something broke inside. I can't
Mm.
explain it. I just thought, I've got it. And then he said, get out, she's useless. And I'm like,
Mm.
the police look at the way he's talking, say, hey, but why are you here now? If he's talking like that, you don't like it, why are you here? So I'm asking our viewers, if somebody is name calling, telling you you're no good, you're this, you, my own went as bad as my chest is too big. When somebody starts abusing your body and you have to say, I
Body
didn't create
shaming
myself.
and
I didn't
wow.
create myself. You can't
Mm.
use makeup. You can't use earrings. Me that I was an Avon lady, I had to be dressing with perfume. I used to dress up with all kinds of earrings.
Mm.
Everything not needed. I had to stop it. Because I said Avon, I want to mention okay, I will talk about how I got out. Okay, this is part of it. Before this police incident, I had to start getting out of the house because it was too much. One day I was going up the stairs and I could not walk. I couldn't lift my leg. Hey,
Mm.
ah, and I was sporting a size 24. I remember
Wow.
there's a particular green dress, 22, 24. Hey, I say, God, what kind of life is this that I put myself into? I can't go out shopping. It's like a way of not allowing me. He would say, tell me what you want to get, I'll go and get it.
Mm.
I could not climb the stairs without breathing hard. I said, God, I can't do this. What kind
Mm.
of life is this? I don't know how somebody told me about Avon. I
Mm.
decided to become an Avon lady to escape. So whenever he doesn't want me to go out, I say, they will soon call me. Oh, I have an Avon manager. I have to deliver the goods. You know, some people have even paid me advance. And then sometimes he will follow with the car to come and look for me.
Wow.
Oh, yes. The Avon was escape. So I can talk to human beings. That was before my master's degree. So I can talk to human beings and relate and just get out of the house. So that's the Avon side. Anyway, so I left that night because the police said, get out now. Get all your things and get your children and leave. Because my mother was there. She had the car. I couldn't take much. The computer I left became another bone of contention, but I had to let it go. Do you know, after I left, this man signed into my email. I couldn't get into my email for days. I was
Wow.
trying to change the password to log in. So I had to wait for him to stop using my email for me to use it. Even when I was
Wow.
and I was told change your email. I said, but I have my work stuff on my email. And then he'll be writing me about the things in my email. So,
Wow.
so you said this. So you did this. Can you see the degree of control? It's not that I mind. It's just there was so much vindictiveness. I don't know how to, oh God. Anyway, the other sign that I should have seen, I didn't like the way he spoke to his mom. And I would call the mom over in those days to come and just to say hi. And I don't know what was going on there. There was a lot of rudeness. This is my phone. You can't talk to me. I'm going to drop the phone now. Later on, I learned that there was a lot of trauma. So he had his own trauma. I had my own trauma. And I don't think that those things were healed before we came together. Plus, I did not see the signs. So, what was your last question? I'm trying to remember now.
And
Because
they've
I
always said that one of the signs to look out for is how we treat the people. And if the man, how he treats his mom, the woman, how she treats her dad, or the men in her life, they look out for things like that. That's a huge red flag as well.
yes, it is
Mm,
such a red flag how he treats his mom.
mm,
Um, so I'm going to read some red flags here. 20
okay.
red flags run, don't walk. One is jealousy disguised as love.
Mm,
You know, don't talk to anybody. You are mine when you go out together, that kind of thing. Don't
mm,
talk to anybody. Don't reach out to anybody else. It's just me and you. Just me and you against the world. You have
mm,
to interact with people that have skills that you need or things that you want to get. And then that's one. I'm not going to give away too much. The one that wants to move too fast. I was talking about young people who are rushing off to go and get married. Oh,
That's
no, no,
what
no,
you
no.
feel.
We love each other. We love each other. Let's just do it. There's no big deal. Let's just do it. We love it. That one, you have to ask yourself,
Rush about.
what are we rushing for? Marriage is for life. So let's plan it properly. There's no need to rush. What is the rush? So that was one thing. Tries to isolate you.
Mm,
One about the phone call. Don't touch this phone again. If you see the way I was being spoken to, don't touch this phone. Don't touch this phone. I've warned you. Even the computer, don't touch it. Don't touch it. Don't touch that.
mm.
So that
Wow.
you don't talk to anyone. And if he found out who I spoke to, like I said, Ridal, you go and tell them off. And then they'll be telling me, what are you
Wow.
doing with that person? Huh? Like, this is not you. What is going on? My uncle told me about a time when they came and he told them to go back. That's part of the isolation.
Wow.
Some people came, I don't know, 30, 40, 50 miles to visit me, and he would not let them in. I remember one incident. Another one, my uncle came to visit. He said he just saw me shaking like that. That whenever
Mm,
he talks, he would just back at me and I won't be able to talk.
mm,
The other one is guilt tripping or
mm,
making you feel, where's the guilt tripping? Or making you feel responsible for their emotions. You made me angry. It was
mm,
your fault.
mm,
Did I make you angry? Did I put Did I put the thoughts in your head that made you react like that? Eh? You're the one that made me do it. How can I make you do it? Did I hold your hand? You made your choice. You decided to react to something that triggered you. So these are signs that we should look out for. Like somebody loves you too much, they're calling you names, you're dating. You made me do this. You made me do that. How can I make you? Are you not an adult? Are you not responsible for what you do? So that is another sign. Let me give one more.
mm. Someone
One
just said in the comment section, she said, during our divorce, this man told the judge he was entitled to the inheritance my dad left me. The judge was speechless. How do you?
Maybe that is what they were after.
Hmm.
That's maybe wow. Maybe
Hmm.
that's what they wanted from the marriage. Because what I'm learning, which I didn't learn then, is men also can do research and study you.
Hmm.
I have a friend, I'm just going to make her unidentifiable as possible. She said some things that shook me. She said her man said after divorcing her that, I know you will not go anywhere.
Wow.
And then I said to her, does it not make you think that he knew who you were, what kind of person you were like?
Hmm.
He saw how calm
Hmm.
you were, how forgiving,
Hmm.
how adaptable to all situations. Oh God.
Hmm. Hmm.
They blame everybody else. That's another one for their past relationships. Or everybody they were in a relationship with was bad. I don't know whether that was the case here because we were quite young. But that's one of the other signs I've heard and I've seen people talk about. It's never their fault, too. It's always the other person because they are perfect. But you see, as I'm saying this, like I said in my book, I am not innocent because when the beating started, I began to look for ways to permanently hurt him too.
Hmm.
Saw myself becoming somebody else.
Hmm.
Like I'm ready. It's like I was on alert.
Hmm.
When I was getting stronger, when I was going to college, university, and everything, I was beginning to talk. I began to feel like if you, if you touch me, I didn't go as far as the kitchen or anything, but I became so angry and I didn't like what was going on inside me. Why would I become like that? I'm a child of God, I'm a Christian and all that. So the separation and I don't know whether I'm supposed to talk about this. So when I moved out and I wanted to go back, you were talking about the statistics about 4 or 5 times. Yeah, some people they go back and they never come back.
Hmm.
Kept telling me to come back, to come back. I must come back. You must come back. You must submit. I didn't like the word you must submit. I'm thinking, submit to what? What am I submitting to? And that book I was talking about, he was saying people who say you must submit. You submit to the God inside him, not that other
Hmm.
that's working in him. So that's a message for those who are Christians who are saying you have to submit. Do not give up your destiny because of a relationship. Please, I'm begging you people. And he's put it on my heart to say it even more because of all the stories we're seeing on Facebook. Please, I'm not saying you have to divorce, but you need to do something. One of my favorite preachers says, sometimes in a relationship, I think it works both ways. You need to create a crisis to let the person understand, I am not having this.
Hmm.
I'll give you an example. A man was talking about this on TikTok. I like watching his shows. He said sometimes the woman has to physically remove herself from that location and go elsewhere.
Hmm.
You don't have to take it.
Hmm.
Okay. How did I get here? I'm talking about you must come back, you must come back, you must come back.
Hmm.
What saved me was I told my mom and she started crying. She said, you have 3 children.
Hmm.
Something happens and I don't see you again. She said, okay,
Wow.
if you cannot think about your children, think about me. I'm a mother and I don't want my child to be lost. I don't want to lose my child. So please pity me. Then I went to sleep and I had a dream. I told you that I get dreams all the time.
Yeah.
God, I
Yeah.
cannot do dreams because my attention is, I'm alert. And I
Hmm.
had 3 beings talking with me like in a circle. And the question they asked me, I wrote it in my book. I mentioned it in my book. Beautifully flawed story of a woman. That's my domestic abuse story. The
Hmm.
question God asked me was, where did you get your idea of love from? What
Hmm.
made you think that somebody beating, hitting, kicking you is love?
Yeah. Love. Hmm.
You can see that I had a warped sense of love. And some people will stay in relationship for the way it looks. We're a power couple. We are a
Hmm.
The lady you mentioned before, who was the wife of the president, I think they've moved apart now.
Hmm.
Yes, I don't know. We don't know. We don't know what goes on in relationships. We only know what we hear.
Really.
So,
Mhm.
and people change over time as well. We don't, and I keep saying, like in this book, I don't know many women that we go into this thing that say, I'm going to enter because I want to come out. No, We are very emotional beings. We want to want it to work. You know, you want to build something with somebody. So when they were shouting, "Come back! You must come back! You must," eh? The thing was going on in my ear. Constant, the phone was always ringing.
Mm.
I said, "Mommy, I have to go." So she told me those things. But when I had the dream and God said, "Where did you get your idea of love from?" The next day I went to my mom. I said, "I now understand that I don't have to go back." Hey, she said, "Praise God." Though she started singing. But then again, I had another call. He was going on about this, "You must come back. You must come back." And I was talking in my heart. For those who don't understand, I'm a Christian and I believe God speaks to us in different ways. In my case, you can have an inner conversation and you're getting answers to the things you're saying. And I said, "Lord, I think I need to go back." And I heard in my heart, I said, "But he's a pastor." And then I heard, "By their fruits you shall know them." So if you're going to church and you're wanting to date, and you can see certain characters and fruits that are not promising, they're not nice, I think you need to avoid those people. Avoid the man or the woman.
Mm.
They're rude to other people. They don't show manners. It's all about them. You can see them getting angry over little things. Those are signs. You just have to run. Say, "Oh God, please, this one is not going to work."
Mm.
So God was telling me, "By their fruits you shall know them." Like, by their fruits. And then the next thing he said in my ear was, "Just listen to the things that come out of the person's mouth."
Mm.
Because he was swearing at me. He tried everything to make me come back, and I wasn't coming back. So he started using words, very
Mm.
ugly terms. And that's why Father was saying to me, "Just watch what comes out of his mouth." So while you're defending and saying he's a pastor, you have to go back, you have to watch. Because the constant refrain, "I come back, come back." And then he decided we should go for counseling. When we were having problems, and I offered that we go for counseling, he didn't want to go for counseling. We will be going to counseling in the car, and then there will be an argument over almost nothing. "The child said this, I'm angry, I'm turning the car back." You
Mm.
can see he never really wanted to go. That happened, I think, I can't remember, maybe up to 3 times. And I just had enough. So when I now moved out, he now started calling me that he wants counseling. I said, "I am not interested." Then he got the pastor to call me that what is wrong with me. I said, "Okay, my father just died. Let me bury him first. I have to go to Nigeria. Let me finish my master's degree and finish exam. Then my head can clear." So we started going for counseling. This was 6 months later. When we got there, he narrated, I narrated. Then the pastor said, "There's a lot of anger and we need to make a decision to get rid of the anger and resentment." I said, "Okay." I never knew that I would hear the word divorce.
Mm.
Second time we came, we were talking, and he was saying to my ex, he said, "Why do you keep emailing the pastor and abusing this woman? Why? Why do you keep doing that? Don't you have a job?" He said, "You're doing it every day." The man said, "Oh, no, no, it's 3 days a week." He said, "But that's too much. You talk about this woman. What is it? And you are here for reconciliation. That's not how to reconcile now, you know?"
Mm.
So the third time, the pastor, before we sat down, he said, "You know what? I've changed my mind. This man is still writing about you. I can't see any chance that he wants to make this work.
Wow.
This is the end of it.
It was all about control for him, not really trying to make it work.
He said, "Don't come back."
Wow.
He said, "You woman, go and meet the woman pastor and discuss." He said, "I am not wasting my time on this issue.
Wow.
You guys, you man, you are not ready to repent or forgive. So let's not waste time." As I was leaving, going out of the door towards the car, he said to me, "I want a divorce." And he knew the impact that would have on me because I said, "I don't want to be divorced." But he is saying it's been 6 months. Of course, he's been punished or whatever it is that he's going through as a result of this separation.
Mm.
He kept saying, "I want a divorce. You must give me a divorce." And I said, "Listen, I need to go and pick the kids at school because I have to drive back." He went on and on. He called me, he kept going on and on. I called my uncle, was a lawyer. He's passed now. He said, "Go and tell him to do it himself."
Mm.
So when he carried on with that, I decided to go and make inquiries. And I realized I went back to my lawyer. And do you know that this is my life story? This is not what I said. This is not what the Bible, or this is not about anybody.
Mm.
As I went in for that meeting with her, I heard in my ear, I'm releasing you from this.
Mm.
But next time, be very careful what you get into. Something like that. But I'm releasing you. I heard that. So I came back. I was so happy that day.
Wow.
If you know what I went through, to get this
Mm.
deal. Hey, after that, because what happened was when I got the things in motion with the lawyer and he got a letter. First of all, we couldn't have an address. He wouldn't give an address. So we had to
Mm.
write to his mom. He now called me. Ah, I got this letter from my mom. I said, what do you mean? I said, but you say you want it now.
Mm.
I said, but what is the problem? You were shouting at it, shouting at me and calling for it. I'm giving it to you. You know, I don't want, you want. Okay. He said,
Mm.
but. I said, but what? I said, oh, you didn't expect me to do it. He said, no. I said, well, you know something? I don't want to lose my mind. I cannot lose my mind because I have a relationship and I have children for a man. What is it? I'm not the first person to have relationship now.
Mm.
I can't lose my mind because of you. I want my peace. You keep
Mm.
calling and threatening, and I've had enough. I want my peace. He will call me sometimes and say, I'm going to disgrace you. I will disgrace your family.
Mm.
And then we had to go to court. The divorce, the children, we had to get an injunction,
Mm.
and what else happened? Even that one, he was telling me, I will show you, I will disgrace you. I'm thinking, whatever you want to disgrace, do it. One day I said to him, I said, whatever you want to do to disgrace me, please do. I'm tired of this threat. When they try this one, they'll try that one, they'll try all kinds
Mm.
of threats. I said, whatever, just do it.
Mm. Mm.
And then going through the divorce, it was the law, it was the judge that helped me see
Wow.
that what I've gone through is too much. Because we were called into the room and he did not show up. And
Wow.
the judge said, what is going on? And you know what had happened? When we're doing the divorce proceedings, they get a letter and they have to acknowledge it. It's called acknowledging service, acknowledging the serving of the papers. He didn't, but he started writing to the court about how bad I was. So the judge was confused. How bad she is, but you've already got a letter for divorce, so you can let her go. So what is the problem now?
Exactly.
So I think what happened, there was a kind of a confusion because I started the divorce proceedings, but he was also writing saying he wants to start another case. So the person who was calling for our names did not know who was defending, who was plaintiff, who was defendant. In any event, I just went in. And
Mm.
for some reason, I don't know whether they told him that he's not the plaintiff. I don't know what happened because he came in quite late and the judge was saying, you kept us waiting. Where are you? He said, they won't let me in. The judge said, I heard them calling your surname. Why did you not?
Mm-hmm.
And then the judge said, okay, so what have you got to say? The judge now said, you've been writing us letters. How can you write a letter about a divorce serving, a paper of divorce, without acknowledging you've received it? How does that make sense? You have not received it, but you're writing about it to contest it. You acknowledge the service first. You know what he did that day in front of the judge? He said, let me call my lawyer. So the judge was so angry that you did not acknowledge service. You want to start a case based on it. You want to contest it, but you're actually saying you're lying by being here.
Mm.
Judge said, I don't like your attitude. And then he looked at me and said, I'm granting you your decree nisi.
Nice eye.
He said, because that behavior, he said, you think we're fools here.
Mm.
Do
You
you know,
can see
I
through
had
him.
I had to run to my car. And then we were in between two different counties. So there was one in Harrow, and then I was living in the east. So we had to come back to the east. The judge said to the lawyer, don't let her come all this way. Let her go to her area. So we took the case there. And when they were reading the names, they normally read the decree nisi names. I got there late and I had to beg them to beg the judge because he kept calling me and telling me, you cannot divorce me.
Mm.
The calls were always coming. The problem with me receiving the calls was my dad was in hospital and
Wow.
both of them were private numbers. It was so bad that I started shaking. I stopped taking calls, and they were looking for me in the hospital as the next of kin, the first child. My sister was so upset that they couldn't
Mm,
get hold of me. I was so scared of taking his calls. So I missed
mm,
calls that were important, even the one for
mm,
work. So when I got to the court for the decree nisi, and they had already read all the names, they will read the names, Mr. and Mrs. this, granted, this time, Mr. and
mm,
Mrs. this. They had read my name, so I had to beg. So the judge said, this is extraordinary, but he will allow it. I said to the judge, I said, for my peace of mind, because I've been told I can never be divorced, no matter what I do. So they had to read everything again for me. I came away thinking, oh, he told me it can't happen, but it happened. So all the things he kept telling cannot happen, happened.
mm, mm,
Oh Lord,
mm, mm.
I can't remember now. How did I get here? Was it a question you asked me to this?
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about the freedom. You said you had to talk about how you actually got to the stage of being free. So I think that's ties in with this part of the story. Are you able to walk away free, And someone said in the comment section, I think she said it took her 3 years to get
Mm.
the divorce. This man kept refusing to appear, kept writing the court. He was ill and went as far as saying we're still together and being intimate. This was the last straw for the judge. So it just seems like lots of narcissistic behavior here, trying to control everything. So it wasn't even about love or wanting to be in marriage with this person, just wanting to control you. And part of that, from what you said, was also trying to strip you of everything using the word so that, it makes it easy for him to control you. But maybe it's the ego thing or I don't know what it is with people that have this narcissistic tendencies that it feeds them to be able to maybe give them the power to be able to do these things to bring that person to nothing so that they can be in control. Did you say he was a pastor? I think you said that.
He had pastoral duties.
Pastoral. I listened to, I don't know if anyone listens to stories with Femi Lazarus. And the one I listened to this morning when I was on my run was about the pastor's wife, how she became free from her pastor husband. That's worth listening to. And one thing she said that you said that she said, because now she coaches children and and does all of these things, was that she's not telling anyone to leave, as in to walk away. What she's saying is that you have to leave, LIVE. You have to be alive. You have to fulfill purpose. It's
Yes.
don't lose your life and destiny because you're married to someone. And Pastor Femi said that, which I agree. Like a marriage is not supposed to be a bird and a fish scenario, so that for
Hmm.
us to be together, someone has to die. A bird can live in the water, a fish can live in there. So like that's not what God made marriage to be like. That unless someone else's destiny dies or someone else's sort of starts to fade away before there can be a marriage. No, that's not what it's meant to be. It's meant to be for two people to come together and show love the way the Bible, Christ loving the
Yeah.
church and being able to live purposeful lives. So when it comes to the part where you're being destroyed, there's no longer a marriage. There's no, I'm saying there's no need to stay in a place where you're being destroyed, where
Yeah.
where you're being stripped by words and you're being
Hmm.
abused in all shades of form.
Yeah.
And what I love about this show today is that when we started, you talked about the beautiful things that you're doing. So, like, if you're listening as a viewer and you're thinking, can I still live my full life? I mean, Dr. Araba has done so much. She's written books. She shared it at the beginning.
17 books or even 18 now, Seth.
Yeah, the links are in the comment section.
Yeah. Mm.
She's created a board game, which
Two
is an
books.
amazing financial game that helps people and children to learn about finances, which is amazing. Honestly, I think that's amazing. She's a social entrepreneur. She was awarded the Freeman of the City of London, which is just given to specific people that are doing great things, in the community, great things in the society. It's not something that,
I said
that's
that
amazing.
bad. Yeah.
So
Well,
that is to say that, and she achieved that after she was able to be alive because she walked away. Even everything that was said to her, she heard all these things, you're nothing, and this kind of words that the devil wants to use through people to tear you down. It did not destroy her. So don't be afraid if you're listening to this podcast today. She wasn't afraid, and she's here living her best life today, and still going to do so much more, I believe. Say so much more. So, like, what are the words to round up that you like to share with our viewers? And I don't know if
Ah,
anyone has questions.
what are the words to round up? Ah, where do I
If
start?
there are
It
people
depends.
that are listening, like young people, I mean, you should, if there's any young person listening, just listen to the video from the start to the end. If you're thinking, read what she's
Hmm,
mentioned so many tips and things to look out for,
hmm,
which is very important. So just watch the video from the beginning. Honestly, it's gonna help you. Uh, yeah, what do you want to share? What do you
yeah.
want to share with us to round off?
You just told me what I should say because I was saying, Lord, what do I say now? For those who are wondering, I'm sharing my story about domestic abuse. Candy, hello, thanks for joining me. And for everybody on the TikTok, thank you. I want people to know that abuse is not the end.
Mm,
Abuse is not the end of anything. It is
mm,
just an event, and it can stop when you take action and you leave. We have to remember, thank you so much, Lola. We have to remember that we were born into this world on our own for a purpose.
mm,
That purpose can include marriage, businesses,
mm,
doing different things, preaching the gospel, writing books, dancing, singing, cooking, teaching, whatever. We were born for a purpose. God designed us. It's almost like when people like the late Michael Jackson was saying, "Oh, one of the worst things that happened to me is because I look like this." No, God did not make a mistake. God purposely created us the way He did for His own purpose because He has His own plan. And because of that, the Bible says, I am fearfully and wonderfully made. I might look darker, I might look fairer. God
Amen.
has created me for His pleasure. We have
Yes,
to remember that always. And we
yes.
have to remember that this opinion of people that we're so afraid of, it doesn't count much when it comes to God. So we have
Mm,
to either choose to fear God or fear the man. Fear
wow.
God or fear man? Do you want to fear God and do what God says, or you're going to fear man and say, "Oh, I want to please the people. I don't know what people are going to say. I may be laughed at." Nah, He says, "If you deny me, I will deny you." So we have
Mm,
to remember that before we got married or got into a relationship, we were first of all a child of God on a mission, on a purpose. And this relationship, if it is so addictive
mm,
that you can't be you anymore, then there's a problem. It means that there's a trauma. We were talking about narcissism. I believe that he had a trauma, I had my own trauma. My own trauma stemmed from the fact that I was attracting that kind of person because of
mm,
healed wounds. This is how I've analyzed it for myself. I had my own trauma. I watched my mother being beaten. I didn't watch, okay, I saw the abuse, but I
mm,
wasn't there the day she was being kicked as well, actually.
mm,
My own mother went into cardiac arrest. They had to
mm,
resuscitate her, and there's a lot of things around it. I wasn't at home. I was in the college in Owerri when my sister wrote me. I was in Form 1. I was about age 10 or 11. So there was that in the background. That's my own trauma.
mm,
My mother came back because she was begged to come back.
mm,
So I don't know what I picked up, but I believe that my self-esteem at the time I met this person was at a low. I
mm,
was in the UK, in a country where I was struggling to find my feet. I had a job, I had my place, I had things going for me, but there were things that I was not confident about. I think that was part of the problem. So attracting somebody who was pulling away the confidence was easy for them because they would say something and then you didn't react. Oh, I can do more. You know, if I say
mm,
you're stupid and you don't write back and say sorry, you don't go back and go, sorry, what did you say? You just accept. Or like a man said in a conversation I was having, said when somebody hits you the first time and you are still there, you're waiting for the second one. Miles Monroe said that actually.
mm,
He said when they slap or beat you the first time and you are still there, You're
mm,
still in that environment with them. You are inviting the next beating because you did not react
mm,
violently. Remember, I said violently, it's not a good word. You create a crisis, you create something to get the person to understand you will never do that to me again.
mm,
So I'm appealing again because I'm hearing in my head, I'm appealing to the people in the church, the ones that keep shaming people who are divorced, shaming single moms,
mm,
shaming
mm,
people who are going through abuse and not allowing them to get the support they need. Do you know that the Lord knows what is going on in the house, and
mm,
He's not happy with people stepping into eternity just because they don't want to speak out or because they are afraid of what they are going to say about them or how they're going to be treated or how they're going to be ostracized. That is not
mm,
our business. God hates divorce, but He loves the divorcee, whether it is man or woman. It is not his delight that people split. This is the way I understand it. Imagine having ingredients to make bread or cake, and then
mm,
I want to now remove them after you've mixed it. You want to remove the butter and the sugar. That's how
mm,
painful divorce is, and the consequences, especially when they're children, could be
mm,
lifelong because you're constantly trying to remind those kids it's not their problem. It wasn't because of them. They didn't do anything wrong, that they are deeply loved. Okay, why can't you stay together? There are questions you can't answer. Okay, so there's something that Father taught me. In this life, if you want to make an impact and do something, go and find a problem to solve. Let it keep you busy. Align your life with a God-given goal that solves a problem. Keeps you so busy that you don't have time to be taking crap and nonsense.
mm,
And if I'm going to be with somebody now, I pray that both of us will have the same mindset about building the kingdom of God, doing
mm,
for God. So even when I'm doing my work, I'm hoping that I'll be preaching the gospel, sharing the love of God through the games, through the learning, through the workshops, the courses, speaking engagements. That's what I want to do now. If I can't
mm,
find somebody doing that, then there's no point.
mm,
So aligning our lives with the purpose that God has given us is very important because
mm,
that's what will matter in eternity. The Bible
mm,
talks about people and doing works and their work being tried with fire.
mm, mm,
If you did
mm,
not do what he called you to do, you have your own self to answer. You cannot go and say, it's because of my husband, because of my wife, because of my mom or my dad. Because no, you have to fear God. You have to honor him first, respect him. And then number two, B. I have this A, B, C, D, E, F, G that I learned as I was journaling one day. You need to believe that you have a purpose in life so that nobody come and tell you you are stupid. You are not stupid. Whether somebody thinks that you don't look all right or you don't look well, this is not their business. He created you the way he wants. So you got to believe that you yourself, you are here on this planet to do something. You are here to do a work. My own started from medicine to project management to designing, creating. I've always had a creative side. My brother was telling me one day that, don't I remember when we were kids, I used to create little games with paper and write rules. I never knew that. That was so rewarding for me to hear that all along. I've always liked the creative side. Yes, so believe you have a purpose on this planet, which far exceeds what the marriage is saying you should do, because you're going to answer to God. He tells us a story about three people who were given talents. One of them had one talent and went to hide it, and he was told he's lazy and wicked. Don't be one of those who says it's because of my marriage I didn't do what I was told to do. There was another one that had, I think, two talents and then five. And those ones, they traded with it and they brought so much profit to God. And then the one who hid his one, he said, oh, God, I know you are wicked and you like to reap where you did not sow. Look at his thinking of God,
mm,
thinking God is wicked. So they didn't do what they were told to do. So you align yourself with a purpose, an idea, a problem, something you can solve, a solution, create it. Two, you got to believe that you are the right person to do it. Number C, tough choices. C is for choices. Tough choices could include walking away from an abusive relationship, no matter how glam it looks, no matter how power couple and lovely that relationship looks. If after you are seen in the public, you get in the private, bye in the car. Why did you say that? Why did you talk to that person? Why did you share your phone number? Run, run, run. Don't walk, you run. You
Mm,
run. So you
mm,
got to make some tough choices to fulfill purpose. D, you got to be determined. If I was not determined, there could be another story to my life now. I may not even be here.
mm,
I wasn't determined. And I wanted to make sure that when I get to heaven, God will say, well done. I was determined to survive. I have 3 children who are looking up to me. I had to give them good examples. I have to be determined to succeed. I'm in the UK. And those of us who are in the UK, I say things like, you get as e be. Sometimes you're in jobs. In those days when I was contracting, they'd be saying, Arinola, thank you for everything you've done. You've done an amazing job. You've trained so and so. We're going to appoint them to take your role. Bye-bye. I don't know whether you guys have been through that in the UK, where your jobs, I was contracting at this time. The contract is easy. You can just tell somebody, thank you so much. So I was pushed into starting a business.
mm.
I was determined that I need to make something of this thing, my life. My kids must not say, we grew up in poverty. My mother was so sick. She was so upset about that, and she never recovered. I don't want that for my life. You've been there. God, Lola, thank you. So D. E, empathy. There are so many doors that have opened to me because I was showing empathy for somebody who I never realized was going to help me to open a door. Sometimes in this life, we are so self-absorbed. We can't help a grandmother who is struggling with a bag in the shop. We can't help somebody get on the bus. We can't, what else? What is it that we can't do? There's so many things we don't notice. I have now learned to notice things. I run a workshop for digital uh, grandmas. I call them digital grandmas. Grandmas and grandpas, they come to the library every week. Sometimes we give them laptops, we give them PCs, they get digital watches. We're teaching them computer skills. And some of them, I just love the way I get the opportunity to welcome them, sit down with them and chat. Say, oh, grandma, don't worry about this. Or sit here, give them a snack, give them tea, serve them little things. And then you get so much wisdom from those people. One of them was introducing me to politicians to get me to open doors for me. You just never know. Eh? Because you were kind to somebody, you said hello, like the gates man. One day you're running late. There was a day I needed to use the bathroom. The gates man, because I was nice to him, he had to open the library for me to run upstairs, even though there was 5 minutes to close it. They want you out. But little things that you do for people, some people don't forget, and they could be the door opener. So that's E. A, align your life with a purpose that God wants you to do or get involved with to change lives. B, got to believe that you're the person you were called to do this. C, you got to make some tough choices. D, you got to be determined. E,
Mm.
empathy. F, focus. I now know, I now understand I'm neurodiverse. Thank God for neurodiverse people. I always struggle with focus. At a time, I could have 4 or 5 projects. But what happens is I tend to finish all of them. So as I talk to you, I have a design in my head for another game and I'm working on it in my head. Then I'm publishing books for somebody. Then I'm writing the ebooks. I've got this book, Spotting Red Flags. Another one is called Run, Don't Walk. This is about domestic abuse. And then the third one is going to be about the healing process. So all of these things are going on in my head, plus I'm trying to run my business. So to get things done, you have to focus. So I'm always having to teach myself how to focus. Focus by making lists and
Fantastic.
using my diary and my calendar on my phone. Focus, focus, focus. So you have to focus. Then number G, 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 gratitude.
Very
Whether
important.
you're in Nigeria or whether you're in Haiti, whatever situation you're in, the Bible says, give thanks in all things. I'm learning now to wake up in the morning. Father, thank you for the shower. Thank you for my bed. Thank you for clothing. Thank you for the things I take for granted. Thank you for travel. You know, to get somewhere in London, you have the tube, you have buses, even you can get an Uber. Thank you for the resources you've given us. Thank you for the money we have to buy such and such. The attitude of gratitude reduces depression,
Mm.
reduces the feeling of I don't have, I'm nobody. If we are thankful for what we have, there's something that it does in our brains, you know, the endorphins and all that.
Yeah.
It helps us to appreciate. And I think we're more thankful for more. And the more you thank, the more blessings are released into your life. The more good things happen to you when you're thankful.
Absolutely.
Because you're saying positive things. Every time we speak, we are releasing power by the words we speak.
Mhm.
Because the Bible says
Absolutely.
that God spoke, you know, and things happened. And the Bible says the words we speak, they are spirit and they are life. There's death and life in the power of the tongue. So when we're grumbling, we are releasing grumbling.
Yeah.
When we're being grateful, we're releasing joy and gratitude.
Yeah. Amen to that. Amen.
Ah, madam.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. This has been an impactful session, honestly. And there's so many comments that I can't even go through everything. So many comments. Thanks for sharing, Dr. Ariola. Um, it's definitely not the end. Thank you so much. That was an inspiring session. Thank you, Dr. Araba. Well done, Tolu. Well, thank you, everyone listening as well. You've been so patient. You've been listening. You've been engaging, making comments, and all of this. Thank you. Thank you. A big God bless you. And I know that this definitely is blessing somebody's life because when I said to Dr. Arela about this, she was like, no, no, I was even saying, sis, can we do it August, July? She was like, no, we have to do it this month. Like God said, so I knew that was a God moment because we have an event coming up. I should talk about that. Our empowerment webinar is coming up on July 12th, guys. And we're having Career Nuggets boss herself, Maureen Kajayi, coming to host. It's going to be, if you know her, she
Yeah.
always drops excellently. And there's no way you leave that session without going away with something for your career, for yourself. So yeah, guys, make sure you look forward to our event coming up on the 12th of July. It's going to be awesome. So my mind was all about that event. It's like, maybe we do it after, but I was like, God will say now. And I can see why. Because you had so many amazing things I wanted to say through you, Dr. Ariola. Thank you for this amazing session. A big God bless you. I mean, I just see you going higher and higher and blessing so many lives with this. So many doors that God is going to open for you because you have the right attitude. It's your time to shine. It's definitely your time. I can see that. And God's glory is all over you. And I can just see life being healed when you start to speak life as you've done this afternoon, this evening. Because again, I see how particular about you are about sharing your story because you don't want to hurt the other party, you don't want to bring them down, but you just want to bring healing. And that says to me that you're healed. You're speaking from a place where you genuinely care and you just want to impact the world. So thank you for that. Because there's so many people that are still hurting and are trying to bring healing. There's no way you can bring healing when you're still hurting. You're just going to spread more hurt and fear. So thank you for allowing God to heal you and for allowing God to use you. Thank you again, everyone. I really don't want to go, but we have to go. It's been almost 2 hours, right?
I can't believe it too. Wow.
I know. This is such an amazing session. Such an amazing session. Thank you so much once again, Dr. Ariola Araba, for sparing your
Yeah.
time to come on Precious Pearls Inspirational Moments. Thank you, everyone that's waited till the end. And I know this has been an inspirational moment for you. And trust me, we're going to bring more people that are going to share the stories and inspire you in so many ways. So just keep watching and keep waiting. And a big God bless you, everyone. Thank you once again, sis. And to all our viewers, see you next time. God bless.
Thank you, Tolu, for inviting me. Thank you.
Thank
Thanks to
you,
all
everyone.
on there. Thank you for all the notes, Lola. I saw your comments. You're so encouraging.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
And there's so much more on Facebook that when you get off here and you go on Facebook, you'll see those all of those comments. And then you can answer them or like them or you can still share.
Did I
So
talk
thank you, everyone. God bless you and see you next time. Bye.
important to find somebody you can trust to talk to?
Yes.
It's important, yeah. I have to say that.
That's one last thing you had to drop. So that maybe God wanted you to say that. Oh, someone heard that. Someone, don't keep it all in. That's what she's saying. Find someone you can talk to. If you're in that situation, find someone you can talk to. Don't keep it all in. Right, sis?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay, bye.